Okay.
Thank you so much for inviting me. My name is Francis Gagnon. I am an information designer, and I'm the founder of Voilà, an information design agency active since 2013 and based in Montreal, Canada. We work in French and English. There's a team of 6, and we also have collaborators. What's important today is to know that we are focused all of our projects on sustainable development. So projects in environment, sustainable social development, and governance. This is our raison d'être. This is the reason that we exist. And we want to help our clients make the world better. This is why our mission is that we help people with important ideas to make themselves understood. I'm very, very grateful. It's also personal to me. I'm very grateful to be here because this topic of hope is very close to my heart. I nurture my own hope and I hope to cultivate it also in other people. I consider myself a cautious optimist, or what Hans Rosling would call a probabilist. And mostly I consider that hope is a responsibility. And this is actually my overall message to you. Hope is something that is expected of you as a citizen and as a person. If we want the world to get better, we need to hope. Our thoughts, our words, our actions, they all have consequences. Whether you hope or not has consequences. Whether you speak up or not has consequences. Whether you act on this hope has consequences, because the world is real. The world is lived. It is shaped by people, and you are people. Giving up on hope is giving up on people. We rely on each other. We live in the world of hope. I was asked to present examples from our portfolio and show how we can find hope in different data sets. What I want to show you today is how we at Voilà practice and spread hope as information designers. I have developed a framework to present my thoughts. It is structured around time. So let's get started. So hope can come from the past. Hope also is present with us, and hope takes us into the future. Let's get started with the past. So I'm presenting you first a chart that is not from Voilà, but that is from World in Data, and from Gapminder, and it's a global income distribution over time. And you see that in 1850, it was mostly below the international poverty line. You have 4 regions here in 4 colors, but most of them were below the international poverty line. Recently, in 2000, most of Asia was below, but the other regions were moving up. And we expect that in 2100, it's going to have moved for most of the people above the international poverty line. Now, my question to you is, do you believe this is possible? If you even had a hint of a doubt, I have good news for you, because this chart is fake. It's not the data that is fake in it, it's the dates that are wrong. This has all already happened. So by 2015, most people were already living in the middle and were above the international poverty line. Massive, massive improvements. But it's normal that you have doubts, and it's normal that we have a somewhat pessimistic view of the world. We have this impression that hunger is going up, that children are dying, they're working, we don't have enough to feed everyone, people are getting sick, they're not connected enough. And this is what the media magnifies, because this is what attracts our attention. But actually, those charts I have inverted. It's actually the opposite. The harvest is going up, the yield is going up, immunization, internet is going up too, hunger, children dying, child labor, all of these things are going down. And so there is evidence that things are getting better, and it is worth presenting it and talking about it. So let's look at the first example from our portfolio. This one is from a program that helps teenage girls to exercise more. And this program, called Filles Actives, has been in operation for several years. Now they conducted a scientific study to see if it works, and it came out with a lot of good news. For instance, in a survey of school observers, they saw that in 74%, there's an improvement in confidence of the abilities of the teenage girls. They improve their self-perception and body image. They overcome past experience. They decrease their fear of being judged. And oh, by the way, the circles on the right are also charts, and they're supposed to represent the wheels of the skateboard. But this is a lot of good news, and I'm very happy that we got to work with this kind of data, because one thing that we do to create hope is to show the good news in our graphs. I actually like this climate chart as well, that is about changes in greenhouse gas emissions in Canada. If we zoom on the historical part on the left, like this, so 2005 to 2023, we see that the emissions went down from 762 megatons to 664. But also to understand those three arrows is to see more good news as well, because what went up is the GDP and the population growth. So it's more people getting wealthier, and we have used less energy per unit of activity, and we have less emissions also per unit of energy. So we're getting more efficient, we're decarbonizing, we're getting wealthier, and there are more people as well, which is good news if you like people. So it all makes these future scenarios all the more plausible, the future scenarios on the right, when we know that we have done it in the past. If you like good news, I have a few books to recommend. Factfulness from Hans Rosling, professor of global health in Sweden. He has died in 2017, and this book was published the following year posthumously, and it's full of data showing that things are better than you think. And the one in the middle by Hannah Ritchie from Our World in Data is showing that there is a path to a sustainable planet, that there are reasons to be hopeful. And the one on the right by Stefan Sagmeister, a well-known graphic designer, is more artistic, and his take on data visualization is unusual, but he has a lot of interesting data about how now is better than before. The next thing that we do at Voilà is to show the counter examples. So when we find negative in comparisons, it means that there is something good to compare it with. So we try to show this, we don't exclude it. This is an example about unequal access to public transportation in Montreal. So we made this chart by hand, putting the dots at the proportional distance from the destination. So this is the starting point. That I've circled there, and the destination here would be downtown Montreal. And the length of the line represents the time it takes to get there. Often the line is longer, and we need to twist and turn it to fit in the space, and that's what we call the winding path. So what you can see is that in the east of Montreal, it takes a long time to cover short distance by public transportation, as opposed to the west, where you can do it really much faster. And so we want to compare this, but we also want to show that it's possible that we're not stuck with this system here, that we can have faster public transportation. Another example of things that can be good, that counter examples, is this infographic about the Canadian communities that are most at risk of losing jobs in the climate transition. The one that needs the most help are at the top here, and but there is also good news, actually. By the same measure, 90% of Canadians who live in communities that are less vulnerable, are not particularly susceptible to this transition. So their jobs are safe from this. So it means that not everyone is facing this problem, and that we can concentrate our resources to those that need most help. This is for the past. Now I want to talk about the present and see how the present can give us hope. First, let's show the composition of the data. Sometimes we show averages that can be a little less hopeful, but actually the average is hiding a lot of data, such as in this example on the quality of home care for the elderly. I haven't translated everything, it's fairly complex, but what you can observe for now is that there is a performance achieved that is on the left weak, on the right excellent, and most of the average for all the measures are between weak, adequate, and a little bit of good. So this can look like bad news, but when you reveal the underlying distribution, what you realize is that a lot of them, in fact, 2/3 of the measures have at least one top performer. So it means that it is possible to achieve this level of care with the resources. So there is good news, there is hope. Another example, this one is about the economic dynamism of the US economy for a period of 30 years. And so you see the average at the top that is getting a bit negative. So it goes from the blue, that means higher, to red, that means lower. But when you look at the map, it reveals various trends. Some of them are negative. Yes, there are regions with worse than average performance, but there are also regions with better than average performance. And we show them. They represent opportunities. Now, speaking of the opportunities, there are some things in our present that already work that can be done and implemented. And I'm thinking on the technical aspect of heat pumps. Heat pumps to heat and cool our homes are extremely efficient. They transfer more energy than they consume. They are fantastic both for the environment and for our comfort. So we worked on this heat pump calculator that helps people in Canada, especially, see how much it would cost for them to operate a heat pump in their house. And the good news is that in a lot of cases, it's actually cheaper and better for the environment and more comfortable for people who live in those houses. So we want to highlight those existing opportunities right now to improve our world. But there are also some things that are not with us, but that will be soon. And I call that the existing future. A lot of the things that are part of our future are already decided now. You can think of the buildings that are going to be built next year, already approved, designed, financed probably by now. The fashion of next summer has already been decided, and even the music that some of us are going to listen in a couple of months has already been recorded this summer as well. So it is a bit the same thing for a lot of future improvements. There are a lot of projects that are already launched, policies that are being adopted and are about to come into force. And we have worked on a climate dashboard for the Canadian Climate Institute that shows just that. So this is the total greenhouse gas emissions for Canada. You see the past, a bit of a projection, and it reveals a gap. Actually, there's 109 megatons there to get on track with the net zero pathway. But if you look on the right, you see that this represents only what has already been legislated. There are policies that are being developed right now, and that would take us to 65. And there are policies that have been announced already, and that would take us to 42. And there are suggested fixes to those policy interactions that would take us to 26.9. So this is all work that is in the making and not yet revealed, but it shows a 75% reduction in this gap between the projection and the net zero pathways. So even if it's not visible right now, it's the kind of things that are going to kick in very soon as we make progress. We are not the only ones to do this as well. This is an example from Our World in Data, and you see that not only do they have current policies, but they also have pledges and targets that hint at where we could go with what is being discussed right now. So that was the past and the present. Now let's look at the future to find hope. First thing that we do at Voilà is try to identify and highlight what we call the quick wins. What is it that we can do easily that will deliver good results? We talked a little bit about it in the heat pumps, but this time it's for the future. The following chart is about the impact of the climate transition on various economic sectors. So you see three groups here. So to explain the chart, the higher green points means the better impact of the transition on profitability of a sector. In the first case, it's biofuels. And the orange one is the minimum impact that it's going to have, or the worst impact that it's going to have, if you will. So it means that those on the left are only going to have positive impacts from the climate transition, and they present a clear opportunity. And so we isolate them, we label them as well to draw the attention to those kind of opportunities that can be seized. In the middle, potential opportunities means we have to make the right choices, but in some cases there is almost no opportunity, and we're thinking about coal mining, of course. It's not something that's going to come back after the climate transition. Another example here, this is a classic, the cost abatement chart. It's not something that we have invented, but we have adapted it for our clients, CPP Investments in this case. it's more conceptual. You can imagine that each of those boxes represents an opportunity, a policy, a project, something like this. The width of each of the boxes represents the abatement potential, so namely the emission reduction. So the wider the box, the more emission reductions. And the height of the box represents its cost. And when it's negative, it means that it creates positive cash flow. So that means that every blue box on the left is going to not only reduce emissions, but also generate income. So this is also something to be hopeful for, because you're going to find easily a market. You will have the engine of profit there to contribute to a better world. Now, another thing that we do at Voilà is to show this better future that is often coming out of the research of our clients. An example is the shift to cleaner energy. In this case, we're talking about the role of electricity versus natural gas, gasoline, and biomass. So as of 2023, it was only 23%, but what is planned here is to reach 96% in 2050. So this creates a goal, if you will, to a target for the policies as well, and identifying the needs and the opportunities. And as you can see from this design, we're not subtle about it, and we drew very much attention to this potential positive development. Another thing also is to show the alternatives, the novel path that we can take if a door is closing. There may be a solution is no longer available. A habit needs to change. So at the moment, for Canadians, the American trade partner is no longer reliable. It doesn't mean that people have to lose their jobs. It means that there are other trade partners. So we prepared this chart with our client, the Canadian Climate Institute, too. And in pink at the bottom, you see the Canadian copper exports to the United States. And it seems to be like a big part of our exports. But it's taking a little bit of perspective on this and realizing that there's not only the United States, there's the European Union, other countries, and China, and all of these things can even get bigger. They are going to get bigger and provide even more opportunities too. Next one is to focus on the positive, not only show it, but also focus on it. If there is something positive in your data set, bring attention, make it the takeaway message. You can even put it in the title. So in Canada, for instance, we're going to build a lot of houses, but if we don't build them in the right places, some of them will be destroyed by flood and fires. And that's what our client was studying. So we created those charts and those presentations and start with the title that says that building a small proportion of new homes on safer grounds would reduce new flood damages by almost 80%. And the chart goes like this: 5.8 million new homes by 2030, 10% exposed to flooding under existing policies, and only 3% of them would account for 78% of losses. So maybe we cannot move 5.8 million houses. We don't even have to, but if we focus on those 3%, at least we are going to have great savings. And finally, and this is my pet topic, but I have an idea about what the data visualization community can do for a better world. And I believe that we should be leaving X because it supports violent ideology, it destabilizes democracy, it weakens the vulnerable, it does not value our content. And I believe that our participation to this platform has consequences. So if we don't do it for ourselves, we do it for the victims. And there are other communities like LinkedIn, Blue Sky, Instagram, on data and design even. So let's get rid of X, I believe. So to summarize, this is the framework. Hope is fed by the past, the present, and the future. And it's normal that you might be discouraged sometimes. You don't hope to fix something that is perfect. It's normal to have frustrations, problems, aspirations. Don't shy away from them. Don't hide them. For some people, it is what will motivate them. But we also need to hope, and we know to give hope as well. So I will give the final word to someone much more much more eloquent than me. I'm sorry you cannot have the sound, but it's all subtitled. So, Ms. Codon. That's it. Nothing to add for me. Thank you very much.